How are you doing there, Digital Landlord? This is Randall. I run a blog called the Digital Landlord Lifestyle.com, and I am ready to do another video. It's been about 5-6 months there. I actually run a business where I rent out websites, sell leads to local business owners across the country in Canada, and a few down in Australia we've just started. So this particular video is about just Q&As, top 20 questions being answered by myself, and I've used a couple different tools to go online and find these questions, and I'm going to answer them for you. So let's just get right into it. But before we do that, I'll have you look at the website here quickly. It's digitallandlordlifestyle.com. If you're interested in this business model, you can visit the website, sign up for a free membership in Facebook, and we'll be able to communicate with each other. You can ask any question you want about the model. I have the YouTube channel up and running for this purpose. There's a bunch of videos up there right now, and eventually I'll have some kind of like free course. But for now, I'm trying to build an audience, and every little bit helps. So if you're not already subscribed, subscribe, hit that bell. You'll be notified whenever I put out a video. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm sitting here on a Sunday. I want to get this particular video up to, say, 50 likes, and let's get my subscribers. I think we're at 600 right now. Let's get it up to 700, and I'll put out the next video. Otherwise, I'll see you in 2025, because you give me something, and you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So let's get right into it here, guys. Here's a list of the actual questions. You can pause the video if you'd like, but what I'm going to be doing is going through them one by one as quickly as possible. Time is money. I don't want to waste your time, and vice versa. So let's get into the first one here. Okay, the first one is, what is a digital landlord? Not to be confused, first of all, with the digital landlord that's going on the crypto side. On that side, you can purchase digital real estate in the crypto space. That's not this at all. This is simply owning a website. It's a digital asset, right? It's a bunch of zeros and ones sitting on a server somewhere. You're building those out and you're renting them. In this case, selling those leads. It's basically lead generation, and it sits under the umbrella of digital marketing and lead generation. All right, next up we have, what is the difference between pay per lead, pay per call, and rank and rent as a whole under the umbrella of digital marketing and lead generation? Well, when you hear the term pay per call, that is charging a lead buyer for every call that they get. It's the same as pay per lead. You can use those interchangeably. And where the difference comes in is pay flat fee, right? So flat fee means that they're no longer paying you for each and every call that comes in or each and every lead that comes to a form. They're just going to pay you a flat fee monthly as a lead generation service. So you'll see these kind of be used interchangeably. You might see courses or ebooks and things like that, educational products that use this term pay per call, and it can be under the rank and rent umbrella. One difference is that arbitrage may step in eventually, and there might be paid traffic, and we'll talk about that a little bit in this video and some other videos, training videos as well. Next up is rank and rent legal. There's two parts to that. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, don't claim to be one, but when you hear that question, what you're probably wondering is what are the legalities of me setting up a business and I'm actually not the business and this sort of thing. Well, you're a marketer first. You're a digital marketer. You're an agency. There's nothing illegal about that. There are plenty of companies that are agencies, and they have clients that are both small and large, so there's nothing wrong with that. I think in terms of owning a domain and things like this, just give your disclosures right. You're going to want to talk to a legal counsel and attorney. I always recommend that in the state that you're doing business in, and you're just basically going to forward them the contract you're using and ask them, what disclosures I'm going to place on my website in terms of, hey, this visitor is going to be filling out a form asking to be, transferred over and get somebody to contact them back for XYZ niche. And that is going to be your legal side of things. But no, you can own an agency, you can forward leads, and of course every niche is going to be different. I actually recommend you stay away from niches that have too heavy of a licensing or too heavy of a regulation, not because it's illegal, but because you can just why not stay in a niche where there's not a whole lot of red tape, if you will, right? So one of those niches is insurance. Like you can do this for insurance, but I wouldn't recommend it, especially in the beginning. You can do this for real estate agents, but why? There's just so many other niches, 3,000 plus, where you don't have to worry about those legalities. Now, one thing that you can do too is make sure that when somebody does have a license, that you add their license to the site, right? And you make the site legitimate and you disclose. Next up we have, is the rank and rent model saturated? No, it's not. Let me tell you why. There's over 3,000 niches again. There are 3,000 cities that are, of a population that would make sense for rank and rent in the US alone, let alone globally or in Canada, Australia, or overseas in the UK or in another country. So no, it's not. And you might even think, well, if this information's out on the internet, or if there's a couple of courses, there must be a lot of people doing this. Well, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things. I always like to use the example on the national level. Here in the States, we have pizza companies. And in the last 20, 30 years, Papa John's didn't worry about, Pizza Hut and Domino's. Don't worry about that. Just get into it and be the best you can be. And I can tell you this too, a lot of folks will get into this. They have shiny object syndrome and they buy a course or they start something they just never finish. So you'll actually see a lot of websites out there that were part of some group at some point, whether paid or not, and they put a website out there and it does nothing and they get discouraged and they moved on. So don't be that person. Be the 1% that actually gets things done, and you'll be fine. So don't worry about competition. You have millions and millions of opportunities. Do the math. 3,000 over 3,000, 5 million opportunities to build out endless amounts of websites, endless amounts of niches. Make sure that you rank and you step in front of Yelp and you step in front of other lead generation agencies, and you'll be fine. All right, the next question is, what is a good niche for rank and rent? Don't let this question stop you. Do not get analysis paralysis on any of these questions, let alone this one. And what you're probably looking for is, just tell me the one that I can do and I'm going to be successful in. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that. We have a top 10 niches. It's in the group. If you want to go download it, get in the group, download it there. But I'm not going to tell you it's concrete or some specific niche. I'll tell you what it isn't. Stay away from niches that are brick and mortar. So you don't want to do dentists. You don't want to do something that's sitting at a specific location. You want to focus on non-brick and mortar. You want to focus on the service industry. And these are industries where somebody picks up the phone that's a potential customer and they call a business, and that business drives a vehicle or gets out to the person's place of either business or their home and provides that service. That's number one. The second thing is you want to make sure that these are niches that are, they're established. They're not too old. They're not too new. They're established niches, and more importantly, the business owners can afford you, and we'll get into some lead buyer things, some lead buyer tips in a minute. But ultimately, there is no perfect niche. The best thing to do is make sure that you have a city with the right amount of population, right? Not too competitive, not too little. And then you want to make sure that you're getting into niche that is service-based, and then just get into it. Sometimes you can add in something where you were sort of in that niche, or you have a family member in that niche already. Doesn't mean they're going to be your lead buyer, but in other words, you have some knowledge of the niche. And that just makes it easier when you're doing your keyword research and you're building out the website and the asset. Yeah, in terms of a niche, just follow those loosely and you'll be fine. Don't overthink it. All right, next question. What city do I pick and why? All right, so this happens to do with population. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure the population is not too large or too small. I happen to use a number of 25,000 minimum in terms of population, and no more, say 200,000-300,000 is really starting to push it. So you want to stay in there. Another thing you want to do is consider the weather, right? So here in the States, obviously colder up north, colder back east, up in the north area, humid down in the south, and you got to figure out, well, what niches are active at what times, right? So I'll get into tools here in a minute, but either through conversation or practicing your due diligence, you'll get a feel for what niche is going on at what period of time and through what season. And you can do the same in your country. So it's the population over when is the niche get the most searches in terms of search volume, and that's the good city. Again, speaking about niches and cities, I'm not going to tell you the exact city or the exact niche. I'm just going to give you the parameters, and you can use those parameters to find the best one. Then take those two and combine them and move on to the domain and building out the website. So hopefully that helps you out there. Let's get to the next question. The next question in Rank and Rent is, what domain name do I choose? Domain just is your www.mywebsite.com, and it is important when you're doing your due diligence to consider domains, because you might end up picking a domain or a name of a company that is already selected. You don't want that. You might have started, doing all these ads and such like this, and then all of a sudden you find the domain's not available. So you can use a tool or a website called Namecheap. You can use GoDaddy for the domains themselves. But in terms of the name, when you're doing your due diligence, you want to go for what's called a partial match. So in marketing, there's a couple different ways that you can apply your geo and your name and come up with your branding right, and you either go full branding or partial, or just, a lot of folks say EMD, the exact match domain, excuse me, but I particularly go for a partial domain match, right? I don't do the exact, domain any longer. It does still work, but I'm finding that, folks are getting smarter. So you want to go for some type of branding where they go, oh, this looks like a legitimate company, and they're going to do their research, look for testimonials, right? They're going to look for social media, and they're going to make their decision pretty quickly on your site. As long as it looks professional and you have a nice domain and it looks readable, a couple keywords in the geo, you'll be good to go. Okay, the next question is, what website builder do I use? I need a website. I have to build it out, publish it, and it's got to rank, right? But which one of these platforms of the many do I use, and what's best for rank and rent in the lead generation sort of niche, right? So on this side of things, you want to stay away from WordPress. The reason for that is that WordPress is like taking a Lamborghini to go get your groceries. I don't have anything against WordPress. I've used the platform. It's a great platform. But when you're talking about somebody who's coming with no skills and coming into a niche like this, a business model like this, it's just a little too much. And there's some issues with, let's say some of the technical aspects of it and the learning curve. There's a lot of plugins that can, you log into your WordPress platform one day and all of a sudden something's unupdated, so your website hasn't even been live for a few days, and it's just too many variables to worry about. You want to have the Ford Taurus. You want something that's just reliable, an older Honda, Nissan, it's reliable. You can throw 200,000 miles on those things. That's a good analogy, and for that, that's going to be Weebly.com, right? Or you can go in the group, and I actually recommend another builder, and in that group, builder that I recommend in the group, eventually I'll have a free one-pager that you can use. It's already pre-built. You can just throw photos in it, publish the site, and you're good to go. So yeah, you can use WordPress, but it's not something that I recommend, okay? Because there's going to be other lead gen agencies out there that say, well, that doesn't make sense. I use it. Yeah, of course, you've done this. But for somebody who is a beginner, use Weebly. It's worked. I've ranked it. I've actually used it specifically with the exact process that I have, and it works just fine. So Weebly is your answer there. Let's go on to the next one. All right, the next question is, well, how do I build a website if I don't have any skills in terms of, web development and design skills, graphic design? And the answer is, well, there's two ways to approach it. You can go to YouTube University and you can teach yourself how to do that, right? You can go to Weebly.com and get into their help desk and all that and figure it out, watch some trainings and whatnot. Or you can just hire a company. There are companies out there who will build websites for you. I have an agency, for example, and we can build a website, and it's fairly affordable. You just give us the niche, give us the name, give us some keywords, or have us, each one of the questions on our form kind of asks you, what niche is it in, what's the city, what are some keywords, what are some of your competitors, and we actually will publish and come up with, 250, 500 per page of characters and words, and we'll come up with a 5, 10, 15-page website, usually within about 2-3 weeks. And it's published and we send it over to you. So that's a really great way to sort of, curtail that learning curve when it comes to those skills. Otherwise, it is ranking, it is SEO, and there's a lot of things that come along with that. And to be honest with you, that is a huge learning curve for a lot of folks. So don't let that discourage you. Just know that if you choose Weebly, you can hire my agency, or you can go online and find it like on one of those websites like Freelancer or something, and ask somebody to just build a site for you. Again, it's after you've done your due diligence, so you want to provide them the domain, the access, and all this, and they'll build it out for you. And another thing too, keep in mind that a lot of these platforms will have pre-made websites in them. For example, Weebly has some pre-made sites, but they're not niche heavy. They're sort of like business site or really generic sort of health site. Whereas the one that I recommend has some specific niches. I mean, one of them even has, which I don't recommend this niche, by the way, locksmith, that's already pre-made with the pictures and a van, phone number that's up on the right-hand side, a logo area. So a lot of these, what I'm getting at is a lot of these builders, such as the one I recommend, will have them already built out. The one I recommend actually has something like 20 or 50 pre-built sites. So you can just click a button, and all your job is to update the content, update the photos, purchase the domain, and you're good to go. All right, the next question is, I love this guy here. He looks so mad, right? It can get frustrating. Next question is, once I've built the website, how much maintenance does it require me monthly or weekly or long-term for me to keep that ranking there, right? So if you're scaling, your mind might be saying, well, if I'm scaling this company and I'm building this site, it's almost like a little juggling deal where I'm having to go back to every site and add more SEO or add more of the techniques I've learned in order to keep those keywords ranked. And that's very true. Or like this gentleman here, a algorithm changes in the search engine and you got to sort of start all over, right? Well, I'm just going to speak to you from experience. There are things that you should be doing ongoing. The way I teach rank and rent lead generation is once you have your site done and you've done all these things, the site itself has something called backlinks, and that gives you authority. One of those backlinks is citations, and a citation is no more than a name, address, and phone number. It's called the NAP. That is a profile of your service, your website, on a directory on another site. Now you can build these out yourself, or you can again hire my company or an agency to do this for you. But the point is so long as you have those that are dripping out there and they're fresh and new, you'll be okay in terms of ranking. I can tell you that most websites that are, not rank and rent, that are just regular websites for business owners, these business owners must have spent as much as $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 to have a site that's sort of an overrated business card, has no backlinks, and you can just come up in that niche and crush them like Dixie cups. They have no ongoing SEO, right? So the answer is continue to do your citations. Every once in a while, based on whether you're losing ranking, you can do some SEO stimulation. That could be some social media posts, social mentions. And again, everything I'm mentioning you can either do yourself or hire a company. There's plenty of companies that will do a guest post or a niche edit for you. There's thousands. I do it in my company. Whether it's my company or not, I don't care. Just so you know, to go spend the dollars on that. Now, in terms of expenses, I know your mind is saying, well, that might be expensive, right? Well, if you have cash flow coming in of $500, $1,000, or $1,500 a month for that client, you should be setting, say, 25% of that for ongoing SEO so that you can maintain that sort of position, right? Or wait every quarter, take a look at the analytics in a free tool somewhere or a paid tool and go, hey, I'm falling behind a little bit. I need to invest in some more citations or backlinks. Go make the purchase and you're done. So I can tell you in my experience, again, these sites I'm looking at my sites almost daily, if not weekly. I take a quick peek at the analytics, especially ones that I'm building out, but the ones I have built months or years ago, I don't really touch them. I look at them every quarter. If I notice a call drop coming in, right, then I'll take a really deeper dive. So it just kind of depends on the when you look at your portfolio of digital assets, you want to go, okay, this one's lacking a bit. I need to go ahead and take some action. I'm going to go ahead and do some guest posts using that keyword, and I'll be back in business. The next rank and rent question is, should I send paid traffic to my website for quicker results, for faster results, right? So this is a great question because in this industry, there's a lot of folks who have gotten into this industry and they see rank and rent, and there's some educational individuals who teach this, but they're not really teaching rank and rent. They're teaching like an arbitrage. And what I mean by arbitrage is the rank aspect is missing. They'll label it rank and rent, whether that's a free group or a paid course, and you're not doing any of the ranking, right? They're not even having you contact an agency. What they're doing is sort of giving you or teaching you how to build a really simple website, a one-pager they typically call it, and then it's just AdWords, right? Or perhaps it's pay per lead using Facebook, right? Where you're choosing audience and sending paid traffic. That's the point, is paid traffic. To answer the question, yeah, sure, you can do that, but it's yet another skill and another variable that you're going to have to consider, and it's a cost. So here you are, you might be bootstrapping here, you might not have a whole lot to invest into this new venture, and now you learn, oh great, I've already spent time, I've spent money on the site, I've paid a little bit of SEO, I'm now ranking a bit, but now I have to learn AdWords, and it's a whole other beast with negative keywords and parentheses and brackets and exact match. It's a whole other beast. I won't discourage you from it. There are some easier versions. They have a sort of a streamlined AdWords. Sure, you can do it. Do I recommend it? No. I recommend that in the beginning, you go ahead and rank and then watch your website, watch those keywords come in using Google Search Console, and then get into it. Now, if you just are Mr. Moneybags, Mrs. Moneybags, and you want to just force that traffic, great, go for it. Hire an ads agency, or if you already have some experience with AdWords, hey, even better. That's how I'm going to answer that question. So let's get to the next question. The next one is, what's the best phone line system to use for a lead generation agency? and that's just going to be CallRail. It's a very simple platform. It's affordable, usually $50 a month to get started, and each additional phone line is pretty inexpensive. There's a couple others that are out there that I won't get into, but just to keep things simple, just use that. And if you want to keep it free, hey, I'm all about that. Just use Google Voice. You can use a Google Voice line. It's for free as well, and you can set up a free phone line that's separate and forward those calls to the lead buyer. Problem is, though, it does require an email account each time, and it can get a little difficult to juggle. But once you have your first check, you should not be shy. Start reinvesting in your company and go ahead and sign up for CallRail or one of the services that we recommend in the free Facebook group. All right, next question here is, how do I find good lead buyers for my lead agency, my rank and rent business? Now, this is twofold here. First of all, you want to focus on lead buyers that know their business, know it well, and have been in business for at least, say, 2-3 years. You don't want to work with startups, and you want to make sure that they have cash flow coming in, which is just a fancy way to say that they're profitable. The other side of that is you want somebody who is passionate about what they do, competitive, and wants to grow their company. There's nothing worse. I always like to say there's some hangups in this industry, and one of the hangups is the headaches of some of the lead buyers just sort of being sticks in the mud. Where they just hear free, and that attracts them, but when it comes time to actually growing and thinking things through in terms of how many leads am I getting, is that going to help my company move forward, here are my goals, a lot of these folks unfortunately just aren't sophisticated, and they don't think about these types of things. However, when you get the best of both worlds, where here you are serious about your agency and serious about helping small business owners, and they are the same way, that is a match made in heaven. So find these business owners. The only way to do it is dig through all the dirt, find the gold, and make that relationship happen. Now, I have a whole video on how to find lead buyers, a couple different websites you can go to, and you can even use Google. Just search the keyword term, and there's a bunch of businesses right there who already ranked for that particular keyword, and those are your business owners potentially. So go check out the YouTube channel. If you're here already, go search it in my channel, and you'll find a whole video just on lead buyers. All right, the next question is, what do I charge for my lead gen service? I'll just answer it. It's 15% of gross revenue. Whatever the 15% is your charge. Try to stay under that margin. Everything is a margin. I've done a whole video on this again on my channel, so I won't waste your time with this. Go check that out. It talks to you about, and teaches you rather, about how and why I do it this way. And I borrowed it from the real estate industry. We move with a margin. Don't let somebody tell you just charge $500 a month. That's silly. You're leaving money on the table, or you might be overcharging and lose a sale because of that, or $1,000 a month. There's some flat fee when it comes to that. No, go check out the video. Enough said. It's 15%. All right, the next rank and rent question of these top 20 is, what do I say to business owners? And that's sort of a two-part as well. On one hand, it's coming up with your value proposition. Some people call it a pitch. It's the sales process. And on the other hand, it's the negotiation. Now, eventually I'll do a better training of this, but basically you want to be honest. I can't tell you that building rapport comes from honesty. It's about telling a story. And if you come from a humble place and you just tell them up front, hey, I am such and such. I was looking for somebody who can do XYZ in this zip code. I have had a couple of calls and form leads come in. I'm wondering if you can help me. That usually works the best, because it's open, it's honest, you're going to build rapport right out of the gate, and that is how you make a deal happen. What you don't want to be is a used car salesperson. You don't want to be somebody that you're not. Just be yourself, even if you have an accent, even if you're not from this country, right? Just get on the phone. You've already done all this work, and try to be loose. Sure, it's great to kind of prep yourself and get in that mode, but if you just contact them and be honest and treat them as a person, you will have a much better outcome and a much better call. And that's the best way to consider what to say to business owners. So get down whatever your story is. I always like to say, create a problem, right? Create a problem of, hey, I'm getting these calls. Can you help me with them? And eventually we'll work something out. Okay, this next question here is, what do I do with these calls when I don't have a buyer just yet? And I get this question a lot as a coach and a mentor in the rank and rent space. And that's simply just have them go to voicemail. Now, earlier I mentioned that term, create a problem, this is a great way to force you to get on the phone and actually transfer those leads live. That's another technique you can use, where if that call comes to your phone and you answer it live, and you can set up your phone to where if the call rail number comes in, you could recognize the number or set it in your phone as lead generation for paving, right? Contractor to do sidewalks or whatnot, or excuse me, driveways. You can see that and you can answer it as that doing business as, right? So the name of the domain, like, thank you for calling XYZ, how can I help you, right? And then you can ask that person the 3 simple questions, right? What's your name? What's your email? Why are you calling? Great. Let me see if one of our technicians or contractors is available. Put them on hold and go call somebody. Otherwise, while you're building, you're not going to get a bunch of calls, right? You might get 2, 3 a week. Let them go to voicemail. That's another reason that when you're on the phone with a actual lead buyer, you can mention to them, hey, look, I just don't want these things going to voicemail. I need somebody like you to take these calls. Will you do that? So that is what you do with those calls until then. All right, so we've got about 3 or 4 questions left. This next one is about contracts, legal paperwork. What paperwork should I use? What legal agreement should I use with this lead buyer? Number 1, it helps you look professional. And number 2, it's just sort of clear as to what your responsibilities are and what's theirs. Now, the answer is, in my group, I have a free contract you can use, and it explains just that. It's not the full contract. I have another version that you can purchase that cost me quite a bit with my attorney. And when you purchase it, I recommend that you take it to your attorney and you have them look it over, spend whatever hour or 2 with them and say, hey, is there any alters that I need to make to this contract because I'm doing business in this state, right? So that is the answer there. Use the free contract in my group, and that will make you seem so much more professional. It is a month-to-month contract, and it allows you to set up the payments the right way, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, proactive, retroactive. It's very flexible, and it just, again, it makes you look professional, and they're going to expect that from you. Now, I actually have one free contract in the group again, but there is a free video, a training video on the entire contract that talks about each one of the actual provisions in the contract, why they're there. And let me tell you, there's things that you would have not even thought of unless you were in this industry, little caveats that come up. And it's like, oh my gosh, the lead buyer's asked me now for this, this, and that. How do I resolve it? It's already in my contract, right? So check that out. That is on my channel as well. Just go take a look at the Digital Landlord on YouTube. That's probably where you're watching this now. And there's a full training on that. All right, so next question here is, what payment processing do I use for my marketing agency, right? For my lead generation company. And that's just going to be Stripe. Let me tell you, I've used PayPal. I still have a PayPal account, but it's become kind of a nightmare. In fact, I think the company was sold so many times after Elon Musk, and it's just kind of like, they're holding money, they're making it difficult. Stripe is so much easier to use, and in fact, they have a lot more integrations. So I have found it to be the best for rank and rent and lead generation. So stripe.com. All right, we're down to the final question, the top 20 questions for rank and rent business model. This is the last one and happens to do with tools. It's how much do these tools cost, or what SEO tools do I use for my rank and rent business, and what do they cost? And so I'm going to show you a couple of them right now. In fact, eventually I'll do a full video on all of them. But let's just show you a couple of these here. Let's have a look at them here now. Now, of course, there are paid tools and there's free tools. So these are all going to be free for your business, and some of them have some paid versions. All right, the first tool is Keywords Everywhere. It's a free tool. It's a Chrome tool. It's a download, a plugin for Chrome, the browser, and it sits in your browser. And what it does is every time you search a keyword, it'll show you other keywords related to that. So it speeds up the process of you going through, searching for contractors, searching for, the word near me. Should I use that? And even has the volume of those searches, and it's completely free. Highly recommend it for your rake and rent business. Let's look at the next tool. All right, the next tool is Google Trends. Very simple tool. I believe it's trends.google.com. And the way we use this tool in our industry is we put in the keywords and we kind of make them compete with each other, right? We set the tool to 5 years, and it'll show us a lot of information about the trends in terms of sort of volumes going over the last 5 years. It will even show us what parts of the country where someone is searching for that term. But I think the biggest key takeaway is, if you look at the compare over to the right here, you can put in, say, 5, I believe is the limit, and you can look at which ones are the most popular. I use this when I buy domains and get the partial domain match. In other words, when I add the city and the keyword or some branding and I add them all together, I pick 2, 3, 4 words, right? Maybe an abbreviation for the state, and I use this to go purchase domain, and this tool will show me through a chart, simple bars, what is the highest search tool keyword when I've compared them all. So that is that tool, Google Trends. Go check it out. All right, the next set of tool, in fact, the next 5 are all through a tool called Ahrefs or Ahrefs, right? This is a paid tool, but they have a bunch of free tools you can go. In fact, if you go Google Ahrefs free tools, you're going to find all 5, 6 of these. They're amazing. The first one is a keyword tool that allows you to put in the keyword that you found that you're kind of researching on the niche, and it gives you all these sort of variances you can use. And look at this, it shows you the keyword difficulty, so you can see how much competition there is just for that keyword. Now the next tool within that is Ahrefs gives you what's called a SERP tool. And what that does is it lets you take the keyword that you've already used from your keyword research, put that back into the SERP search, and it will show you the results of who's actually ranking for that word, right? Usually it's on a national level, so you can see here that Northwoods Concrete Masonry is ranking for that keyword, right? It's the first result. It shows you the difficulty again, and you can look at each one of those top 10 sites and make some determinations. You can see, how many backlinks to have and whatnot. So it's just another really great tool to kind of take you down that pipeline of your due diligence. So that is the SERP tool with Ahrefs. Another great tool Ahrefs provides is the backlink checker. You can go and take that URL from that top performing your website and competitor, or when you're doing your due diligence, you can place it into their backlink checker and get a feel for how many backlinks they have and what's their quality. In this case, you can see this particular site is ranking, even though it's a 0.2 domain rating and only has 61 backlinks, you can see that they're ranking pretty well. So for this particular keyword, they didn't need a whole lot of backlinks, and they did pretty well. And you can even see the domain rating for that first link there. They're getting a backlink from yellowpages.com. It's another great tool, is the backlink checker. Go check it out. All right, the next tool that Ahrefs provides is a traffic. I mean, it's one thing to go, oh my gosh, they're on the first page, they have X amount of links, but you might want to question, well, what's the result of that? Are they getting traffic? And if so, what keywords are bringing them that traffic? So here you can see that this particular company over the last several months has actually started to come up in their traffic, and that keyword was concrete company or Northwoods Concrete. So they're ranking for that local area, and it shows you the position that they're in. Really great stuff. I can't believe they give this away for free, but then again, free works for them because you're going to love their product and they hope that you go purchase it. So let's look at some other free tools here for your rank and rent business. All right, the next tool is Also Asked. Now this particular tool we can use for ideas for our blog. So there are some cases where you'll be doing some blogging, you'll be sharing those on social media, all the free stuff, right? And anytime you're doing that, these can act as sort of longer tail keywords. The way it works, you go to Also Asked, you put in the keyword, and it'll show you a list of questions that individuals have placed into the search engines. And that's a really great shortcut for you to find FAQs for you to put on your FAQ page or topics for your blog. Go check out Also Asked. It's amazing and it's free. Now it's limited to just 3 searches a day, but I'm telling you, you're not going to use it that much. Use it one time for each one of your projects. So if you're building a site per week, you have more than enough searches. All right, the last tool is going to be, actually we have 2. We have Hunter. So what Hunter does is a prospecting tool. Let's say you go to a website, you can't really find a form, they didn't leave an email address, but you want to get in touch with the business owner. You can take the domain, come over and search it within Hunter. In fact, I believe they have a plugin for this now. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they do. And what you do is you can find the email address of the business owner. And you know what you're going to do with that? You're going to send them an email with some sort of soft pitch or value proposition, letting them know you have leads in the area and you're looking for somebody to service those leads. Really great tool, and it is free. All right, the last tool here, last but not least, is ChatGPT. This is a absolute game changer and very powerful, not just for marketing and the SEO and digital marketing, but for everyone around the world. This is changing the way we interact on the internet, and namely for our industry, it's a really great tool for research. So for example, you can say something like, what are some blogging ideas for a concrete company? I'm just going to touch my screen here and look at this. It's going to come up with ideas of things to blog about. You can also ask it things like, What keywords will I rank for? But here we go. We have a list of 10 blog titles here. Case studies, exploring decorative concrete options for your home. Great things to submit a blog about. And what you can do is you can take this and feed it back to ChatGPT one by one, and you can have it write a tool, or you can go purchase a tool that does it for you. So those are the tools that you can use in your rank and rent business. Now there's a whole bunch of other tools as well. They're paid tools like Ahrefs has. SEMrush, SEMrush is a great one, but I did want to focus on this because I understand that you're probably new to this industry and this business, and you might not have a whole lot of coin to get started. So these are some really great tools. I hope you appreciate that. Now, speaking about appreciation, I hope you liked this training video. It was free, guys. It's been 5 months since I put out a video here. And in fact, I had somebody actually mention that on one of my videos, my last one I put out here. You can see we're at 43 likes. We've got 689 subscribers. Hey, do your part. This gentleman asked a great question. He's like, hey, your previous video was 5 months ago, and you mentioned that you put out something sooner if your video reaches 50 likes. Well, it hasn't yet, and that's part of the reason I haven't put anything out. Time is money. I'm spending most of my time across my 3 businesses, and in this one, building out websites and talking to business owners. Even on Saturdays, I'll make a call to a business owner. So make me help you. Go ahead and get our channel, This Digital Landlord, our group of folks learning this business, to 700. I want to see that at 700 subscribers. Hit that like button, right? Get this video, particularly this video, to 50 likes as well, and I'll go ahead and put out another awesome training video. I promise you that. And if you like that, again, show me some love. Floss, guys. Follow, like, opt in, share, and subscribe. And I promise you I will put out some really great free training where you can actually make some money at home. This model is absolutely amazing. So get right into it. Go ahead and subscribe now, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.